The cameras were rolling, the stage lights were blinding, and the tension in the air was so thick it could be cut with a knife. The auditorium was packed with hundreds of people, and millions more were tuned in from home. It was supposed to be just another political debate, sharp exchanges, rehearsed talking points, and plenty of sound bites for the next morning's news. But what happened that night between John Kennedy and Hillary Clinton was something no one expected, and by the end of it, Hillary wasn't just left without words as she was left humiliated, while Kennedy walked away with a victory few thought he could ever pull off. Hillary Clinton had built a reputation as a seasoned political veteran, someone who knew the ins and outs of Washington like the back of her hand. Her presence alone carried weight as she had commanded stages bigger than this, debated stronger opponents, and rarely lost her composure. Kennedy, on the other hand, was underestimated. He didn't come with flashy rhetoric or polished Washington polish. Instead, he leaned on something far simpler: plain-spoken truth, sharp wit, and an ability to cut through political fog with facts that hit like a hammer. From the very first question, the crowd could sense the clash of styles. Hillary leaned forward, polished and practiced, delivering carefully crafted answers that sounded like they were lifted straight from a policy handbook. Kennedy, in contrast, leaned back in his chair, almost casual, his southern drawl making him seem more like a neighbor at the diner than a politician under bright lights. He waited for his turn patiently, then began with words that startled everyone. "You know, with all due respect," Kennedy said, his voice steady, "I think folks are tired of hearing speeches that sound good but don't say much. People want honesty. They want results. And they want someone who will tell them the truth even if it's uncomfortable." Hillary smirked, brushing it off, and quickly fired back with a flurry of policy jargon, statistics, and lofty promises. But that was the mistake. Kennedy was ready. He didn't need to drown the audience in complicated numbers. Instead, he pulled out real stories, real experiences, and real facts that hit home. When Hillary spoke about foreign policy achievements, Kennedy calmly reminded her of the chaos that followed decisions made under her watch, backed by dates, events, and reports that the audience could not ignore. When she defended economic policies that had left many behind, Kennedy shared stories of working families struggling in small towns, people who had trusted leaders only to be forgotten once the cameras were off. Each time Hillary tried to counter, Kennedy cut through her words with simplicity. "You can call it what you want," he said at one point, leaning forward, his eyes locked on hers. "But facts don't lie. And the fact is, the American people feel left out, forgotten, and let down. That's not a political theory, that's reality." The crowd erupted. Even those who had walked in as skeptics felt something shift in that moment. Hillary's composure began to falter. The confidence in her smile weakened. She had expected another politician to spar with, someone who played by the same rulebook. Instead, she found herself up against someone who didn't need the Washington playbook at all. Kennedy was rewriting the rules right there on stage. By the midpoint of the debate, the atmosphere had transformed. Every time Hillary tried to regain control with complex rhetoric, Kennedy disarmed her with plain truth. When she accused him of oversimplifying issues, he replied with the one line that became the defining moment of the night: "Ma'am, simple doesn't mean wrong. Sometimes the truth is simple, it's just not easy to accept." Gasps filled the room. Even the moderators, usually stoic, struggled to hide their surprise. That line didn't just pierce through Hillary's defenses, it resonated with everyone watching. Kennedy wasn't just winning the debate, he was connecting with the people in a way Hillary couldn't. By the end, Hillary tried to deliver one final knockout statement, a long-winded defense of her record, but the energy was gone. The audience wasn't leaning in anymore. Kennedy simply shook his head, smiled, and said, "That sounds nice, but the facts tell a different story." And that was it. Hillary, the seasoned political warrior, had been left speechless. The audience broke into thunderous applause, not for her, but for the man who had dismantled her arguments piece by piece, not with anger or insults, but with truth. When the debate ended, the headlines the next morning told the story. Kennedy leaves Clinton stunned, wins debate with facts. Clips of his one-liners went viral, especially the moment he reminded the world that truth, no matter how simple, is more powerful than any rehearsed speech. But perhaps the most powerful takeaway wasn't political at all. For ordinary people, that debate was a reminder of something bigger, that no matter how powerful or polished someone seems, the truth will always carry more weight than appearances. Kennedy showed that night that you don't need fancy words or elite credentials to make an impact, that you just need the courage to speak plainly, backed by facts, and let the truth do the rest. And so, what was supposed to be just another debate became something much more, a moment where arrogance was humbled, where simplicity triumphed over complexity, and where one man reminded an entire nation that facts, no matter how uncomfortable, can still cut through the noise. By the end of it all, Hillary Clinton wasn't just defeated in a debate, she was humiliated by the one weapon she couldn't disarm, the undeniable power of truth.